Electoral Hub has raised concerns over threats of violence during and after the general elections. A lecturer in the Department of Political Science and Gender Center, University of Jos, Dr. Plangsat Dayil, stated this at a roundtable event to discuss the impact of insecurity on the general election.
A majority of our respondents believe that insecurity ranked very high in these elections. There's a lot of fear around pre- and post-election violence. And there's also this consensus and belief that women may be targeted when violence occurs. Worse still is the fact that persons with disability may find it very difficult to escape when there's violence. So already there's this fear around persons with disability who feel that if violence occurs, they will not escape. So the best thing to do is probably to think of not even coming out to vote. And so we can see that a large chunk of those set of people might be disenfranchised if the minds of people are not educated and dissuaded away from believing that there will be violence. We also have a category of people who are displaced, the IDPs. Some of them had registered elsewhere, and then with these elections, they are not going to have the chance to do that. If you look at what is happening in some parts of the, in some eastern part of the country, people are also agitated that this sit-at-home stuff might affect even the participation of people around there in elections, because they are already feeling that the environment may be unsafe, and not much education has been given to ensure that people are educated enough to know that yes, we are assured that yes, this election will be peaceful, and these are the mechanisms we have put in place to ensure that we support the process to be peaceful.
People have lost faith in the ability of the state to provide common basic things and security for all that matter. Go through Lagos, houses are barricaded, estates are gated, people cannot sleep well at night, to the extent to which they now employ, they constitute themselves into vigilantes to protect their life and property. So I think it is that state, and then you of course have incidents of banditry and not behavior by citizens. So that's the situation in which INEC now faces itself. We need to separate what INEC has been doing, and I think since 2011, they've been doing their very best to prepare for elections, learning lessons from one election cycle to the other. But what has not changed is the environment with which elections are consistent, and that is beyond the control of INEC. So the space of insecurity we see now are people trying to get at INEC because of the failure of the state to provide certain things which they expect the state to provide. So my conclusion, therefore, is that yes, we should be concerned about whether INEC is prepared, but we should be more concerned about what the environment, what can you and I do to improve the environment within which elections are being conducted. Because that environment is beyond the control of INEC. But it is within our own control as citizens to take action to force government to comply with Chapter 2 of our Constitution, which spells out the conditions for human security that all public authorities must guarantee to the citizen. And I think our governments have abysmally failed in doing that.
Also speaking at the event, the director, IRIAD, the Electoral Hub, says there is an urgent need to plan and put measures in place to check the threats of violence through proper education of the electorates and sufficient proactive measures put in place by security agencies.
People can barely eat now. And you had a lady in Sarari talking about women not being able to feed their children. Would they want to come out to vote? In terms of how this will affect voter turnout. So, I mean, without overflogging issues, we all would admit that looking at insecurity and the election is very critical, and it's something that we should consider. And it's timely now because elections are just 3 days away. There is more. This calls for more retrospection and reflection in terms of looking at how we can be more conscious in terms of security, provide guide. So basically this meeting, one of the reasons we're holding it is to see how we can come up with some actionable recommendations that can guide security and safety during the elections. But not just during the elections, because while we tend to focus on election day, there's really the issue about post-election period as well. We know in 2011 what happened. It was after declaration of results that we had such violence that almost 1,000 people died. And this election again, we're having such tight contests, and we need to start thinking of how we can mitigate any possibility of violence. We need to start thinking how we can engage at a deeper level on voter education, to educate the public, for instance, in terms of how winners emerge. That is not because your candidate won at your polling unit, it means the candidate has won the election. There are constitutional requirements before you declare a winner of an election in Nigeria, whether the president or a governor, or any other seat for that matter. So there's need for that, in-depth voter education to tell Nigerians, look, these are the steps necessary for candidate declaration, for instance.